Master, it is time for you to wake up.
There are many qualities that make a good butler. Style, civility, grace, attention to detail. But what separates a good butler from a perfect one? Flexibility. The ability to adjust to new situations on the fly. Remaining calm under pressure. Anticipating the needs of your master. Being able to handle unexpected guests. You must be flawless. Able to roll with the punches. Only then can you call yourself one hell of a butler. Welcome to Monster Menagerie, brought to you by the Paladin Archives. My name is Mason Kren, and as you know by now, Mason is the title, Kren is the name. I am a Mason with the Paladin Order, and if you're new around here, this is the show that takes a look at monsters in fiction and analyzes them for their backstory, abilities, and threat level, pondering just how the Paladin Order would respond to a threat from them. Well, everyone, we've finally made it to the end of 2024, or just about, and we're at our final demon of the year. We have demons from film, demons from television, demons from video games, and today I have to round off the pattern with a demon straight from anime. But what is a demon when it comes to anime? If you recall from our first episode this year, I took a moment to reflect on this question. Oni, yokai, akuma. There have been various creatures from Japanese folklore that have gotten the English name of demon when they headed west. Some are justified, others are a bit of a stretch. Rather than sit here and fight out every single instance, we decided that for the purposes of this show, if the source material, yes, the English source, calls them a demon, and it's not just like a silly nickname, we take them at their word. We've had a lot of choices. Yu Yu Hakusho and Inuyasha are chocked full of demons. Blue Exorcist, Demon Slayer, Devilman Crybaby. There's no shortage of demons in anime to choose from. But when I asked around, there was one name that kept coming up time and time again. Sebastian Michaelis. It wouldn't be anime if there weren't 1,000 episodes, multiple OVAs, a couple of movies, and just the hugest wedge between it and the original manga. Still, I forged through Season 1 as is my usual procedure and found that I really didn't learn much. So I peeked around at a few more of the seasons, an OVA, and I even did the unthinkable and dove into the fan wikis. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a stunning revelation for you. As longtime viewers might recall, our final vampire for last year was Ceres Victoria of the anime Hellsing. Now, when I sat down to watch Black Butler, I expected something similar, in the same vein, a servant and master anime with dark tones, murder around every corner, and dangerous villains lurking in the shadows. What I got was a slice of life anime with a coat of gothic paint on it. With that in mind, I hope you'll bear with me as I try my best to complete this analysis. But before we begin, I want to remind you that next month, December, is our end of the year Demon Spectacular. I have some awesome demon VTuber friends who have graciously volunteered their time and talents to help me celebrate these demons. And what better way to round it all up than an awards show? Surprise! rather than just simply ranking every demon from F to S tier, we've got a slew of demonic categories for you, yes you, to get in on. You can vote for your favorite demons in the 8 categories we're presenting, plus the ever-coveted Demon of the Year 2024. Link down in the description. If you're a fan of the show, if you like what we do, please, this is your chance to make a difference. Vote and show us which demon you think is the best of the best. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Let's go ahead and get started with this most refined analysis of Sebastian. Because, he's not just a demon. He's also
Simply one hell of a butler.
I want to be transparent about my research for this episode. I typically have a hierarchy of sources I go to for my subject matters. Because this is a one-person operation, movies are the best. They're self-contained, 1 to 2 hours, easy to capture footage of and re-watch if I miss anything. After that, television shows, then games, then books. But anime? Anime is kind of special. As of this recording, One Piece has 1,122 episodes, 5 OVAs, 14 TV specials, and 15 movies. Inuyasha has a combined 193 episodes and 4 movies, not counting the sequel series. Bleach has 397 episodes, 4 movies, and a live-action film, and none of that covers the manga for each. What I'm getting at is that anime is dense, so when I cover it, there has to be an understanding that I'm not going to get every detail. I really lucked out with Saris Victoria because Hellsing is only like 10 episodes long. And frankly, you can get a really good summary of it through Team 4 Star's Hellsing Abridged. But here, it's going to be a lot more difficult. But that's okay. You see, as part of my job with the Order, analyzing monsters, ghosts, and demons means working off limited observations quite often. Sometimes I delve into the tomes of the archives if we're fortunate enough to have records on the creature, but sometimes I just have scattered reports from paladins in the field. Black Butler's first season has 24 episodes. Then a series of episodes in arcs called books, such as Book of Circus, a series of OVAs, and then after all that, Black Butler 2. Usually in a case like this, I just pick one season, usually the first, and give my observations of that. It's what I did for a certain relentless vampire.
Because I just never relent.
But that just doesn't work here. Why? Filler episodes. Yes, the dread of any anime fan, filler episodes, while often fun, can muddy the waters of canonicity. And in my case, eat at my very limited time with episodes that ultimately change nothing and teach me nothing about Sebastian. So, I did my best. I looked up the episodes that seemed to give the most backstory about Sebastian. I compared my findings to fan wikis, and even then, it's depressingly thin. Apparently, the creator just isn't concerned about revealing Sebastian's nature, as it's not central to the show. It's my observation, my understanding, that Sebastian's strengths and weaknesses aren't what's important to the story of Black Butler. It's not about Sebastian overcoming odds and growing as a character to bring his master's plan to fruition. It's about this weird relationship between Ciel and Sebastian, that there seems to be an underlying affection, despite both parties being fully aware that Sebastian's end goal is to devour Ciel's soul. On that note, here's the backstory for as limited as it is. Ciel Phantom Hive, young boy, heir to the Phantom Hive fortune, toy-making empire, and responsibilities to the Queen, was captured. His parents died as their mansion burned to the ground, facing death at the hand of his captors, desperate for salvation but also revenge. He cried out for help from anyone, and anyone answered. A demon appeared. A deal was struck. I shall stay by your side and ensure that you get your vengeance by any means. But on the day that your revenge is sated, I shall devour your soul. Ciel gladly accepted. The contract was burned into Sebastian's left hand, and Ciel's right eye. In no time, Sebastian rebuilt the manor, recreating the very cracks in the brickwork. New staff were procured, and it was all set back into place. Dubbed Sebastian after Ciel's dog, our demon took on the role and demeanor of a humble butler. Now burdened with the empire his parents built and responsibility of being the queen's watchdog, young Ciel navigates the underworld to find leads on his parents' killers, all the while utilizing Sebastian's talents to weed out just scores of his business partners. All seem to want him dead, all seem to want to double-cross him. Like, seriously, that's the plot of like every third story in the series.
Good morning, Massa. Allow me to address you article by article in a strangely intimate but entirely innocent way.
Yes, get on with it. What's our schedule today?
One Lord Backstabbington is scheduled for dinner tonight to discuss why you should give him lots of money.
Oh, how I despise all my adult business partners. Does he even realize I'm a child?
Doubtful, sir. Likely he'll remark 3 or 4 times about how incredible it is that a mere child has such responsibilities.
Good. I'll make him very tense by feigning offense at his use of the word child.
Very good, sir, and I'll prepare by giving the inept servants tasks to do, all of which I'll inevitably have to clean up after and do myself when they all fail.
Will the maid be flustered by how graceful you are when you catch something she's dropped?
Indubitably, sir.
Splendid. Make sure you schedule in time this afternoon for me to argue with you about having sweets before dinner.
Already done.
Impressive.
Not at all, sir. You see, I'm simply one hell of a butler.
And scene. Oh, and of course, after that, Lord Backstabbington gets killed by Sebastian in a poetically and visually pleasing way, usually involving said butler utilizing silverware as a weapon or catching bullets. Now you're up to speed. Let's see what Sebastian is capable of. Oh boy, we've had some doozies this year with abilities, but Sebastian is on a whole other level. I'll go over the things I've seen him do, and trust me, he's done some amazing stuff, but if someone forced me to summarize Sebastian's abilities as succinctly as possible, I'd say this. Sebastian can do anything he deems necessary to obey Ciel's orders. Once given the orders, we see Sebastian perform a myriad of impossible feats, and what's stranger, his capacity to do so seems to vary based on the situation. Or perhaps another interpretation might be that Sebastian, well, he does things in ways he finds amusing. For example, let's start off with his speed. In this scene, we find Sebastian chasing after a motor car. Now, a little investigation, and we find that this show takes place around 1888 or so. For one, it's during the reign of Queen Victoria, but also he actually investigates Jack the Ripper. Our esteemed British butcher made vacancies in brothels in 1888, so that limits the kind of cars available to Ciel and company. So while I couldn't find the exact model this one is based off of, it feels pretty close to a Panhard Levasseur. I know I butchered that, which was actually still several years away, but let's give it to him. A car like that had a top speed of about 32.5 miles per hour. Sebastian chases one down, keeping pace with it at first, then slowly gaining on it. Demon or not, that is impressive. As we've mentioned in this channel before, Usain Bolt, fastest runner on this planet, has a top speed of just under 28 miles per hour, so nothing to scoff at. But we know he can go faster. In this scene, Sebastian saves Ciel from being shot in the head at point-blank range. We can do a little back-of-the-napkin math here. Sebastian is canonically 6'1", or about 186 centimeters, so using him as a ruler, we can guess that he's roughly 6 feet or so away in this shot. Now, the gun has to have some clearance between it and Ciel's head when he fires, or even Sebastian can't catch the bullet. In this shot, it appears to be about an inch, so let's call it 2.5 centimeters, shall we? While the car we saw earlier was a bit of a mishmash, this gun is clearly a Webley Fosbury automatic revolver with a muzzle velocity of 620 feet per second or 190 meters per second. Another big thank you to the Internet Movie Firearms database. That close to CL, the bullet can cover the 2.5 centimeters in only 0.13 milliseconds. That is insanely fast. For Americans in the audience, that bullet is traveling 425 miles per hour. That's insanely fast, but even faster is Sebastian's reaction. He's roughly 6 feet away, or about, 184 centimeters. He has to cover that distance in less than 0.132 milliseconds. So to do so, he has to travel from the edge of that table to CL, meaning he's traveling at an insane 13,939 meters per second. That's 14 kilometers per second. For our American friends, that's 31,181 miles per hour. Mach 1, the speed of sound, is 761 miles per hour. This is over 40 times the speed of sound. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Sebastian moved at Mach 40. The Concorde jet was the fastest commercial plane to ever be made, flying at Mach 2. If that jet set off from the east coast of the United States, it would arrive on the west coast in about 4 hours. In that time, Sebastian can run back and forth from coast to coast 23 times with enough time left over to prepare tea. Look, I was going to mention how he salvaged a falling tower of champagne glasses, but, as impressive as that is, the bullet thing has already shown how fast he is. Still, it's a very cool visual imagery, so, enjoy it. Now, that speed alone is enough to just forget about trying to hurt him. But the fact he could do that anytime he wants, but chooses not to, that's kind of scary. Do I even need to go over his other abilities at this point? I mean, at that speed, most things against him are game over from the first moment. Still, I'm nothing if not thorough. I'm not sure what to call it, but right after he catches that bullet to save CL, he kind of seems to tap the kidnapper's chest on the left side, and his right arm twists like a pretzel. So, telekinesis? Pressure points? I'm not sure. He appears to be unkillable. He's pierced in a magic box by half a dozen swords or so and shrugs it off. He's shot so many times during the series and usually just ends up spitting out the bullets. Oh, what's worse is that he's fully capable of either blocking the bullets or just dodging them. He can fly, or at least levitate. He can utilize cutlery to lethal precision against his foes. Apparently he can magic up a mansion to replace the one CL lost and did something similar for his family ring. His strength is insinuated, but never really demonstrated from what I saw. And there's a reason for that. As mentioned before, his powers are left rather vague. In fact, his entire nature is a mystery. Black Butler's mangaka Yana Toboso mentioned in an interview that, quote, "I'll probably never state clearly what Sebastian's true nature is. I've already vaguely decided on what he could be, though. I think it really doesn't matter. It's like the margin of a book. It's not relevant to the main plot." So, like I said, not a deep, dark action anime. A slice of life with a coat of gothic paint on it. So, I'll say it once more. Sebastian's powers are whatever he deems necessary to carry out CL's orders. But how do you counter all these demonic powers? Not very well. No, for real, Sebastian doesn't lose. Chase down a car? Yes, sir. Ambush literally 50 mercs surrounding the manor? Of course, sir, and while I prepare dinner, too. Beat professional chefs at making curry, a dish you've never really made before? Pfft, already done, what's next? Now, it's true, Grell the Grim Reaper was able to harm him with her death scythe, which is a chainsaw because anime. It's heavily insinuated that Reapers like that are the only match for Sebastian, but still, he kicks Grell's But beyond that, no one even comes close. And I'm not even restricting this to fighting. Like I mentioned before, he won a curry cooking contest in one arc. Now, it's insinuated that Sebastian hadn't really cooked curry before, at least not with any real passion. And the people he went up against were lifelong connoisseurs of curry, all of whom were preparing for the event. But since CL thought at the last minute, being the Queen's official curry maker would be good for business, Sebastian went and did it. And, I might add, he did it on hard mode. You see, at one point, Sebastian is offering CL chocolate. CL doesn't want it and offhandedly remarks, "Use it in some curry." So he freaking does. The chocolate bar is a key part of his curry dish. And he wins. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you on this one. Everyone that steps to Sebastian gets knocked down with grace and poise. Heck, they even tried separating the two, but Sebastian, upon hearing orders to save his master, just appears at CL's side. So, what can paladins even do? Again, not freaking much. I considered that perhaps, since the death sight can at least damage Sebastian, maybe holy relics could work, but then I bumped into this. So, crucifixes are out. And let's not forget that his weapons of choice are made of silver, so that's gone too. I just have this nagging feeling that holy water, salt, consecrated oil, all of it will prove useless against Sebastian. And let's not even get started with exorcism. Can you imagine a paladin actually being able to lay hands on him? No, Sebastian is different. Destruction doesn't seem possible. Hell, containment seems impossible. I'm at a loss for any actual useful suggestions to give a paladin. The man heard and reacted to a sniper shot, took out 50 men set around the manor to ambush them, charged into a mafia headquarters with only a tea tray and some cutlery. I don't see it. I'm just not confident that any of the typical anti-demon weaponry would be of any use. No, Sebastian is a unique case. I'm sure a team of masons and paladins could analyze him, research him, maybe find a way to stall or delay him. The patronages are home to some of the most powerful relics the church has. Now, I'm not supposed to mention this, but I understand the Western patronage has a vial containing the of that, if it really exists, might actually mitigate Sebastian's invulnerability. But the kind of clearance you'd need to even ask about that would be insane. Heck, me just mentioning that online could get me, into a whole... The Paladin Order is aware of no relics which could stand against a hypothetical demon of Sebastian's class. Class 4 demons are not a real class of demon and should be regarded only as subjects of fantasy and whimsy. We're at the end of the year. If you don't know what my threat level is, then you clearly haven't been watching. That's fine. I'm not expecting everyone to watch my whole back catalog, which you can find right here. Anyway, as a mason with a Paladin Order, I'm entrusted by paladins in the field to analyze the information they bring me and give them back detailed reports, which are promptly discarded as they fumble for the threat level like a child looking for the funnies in the newspaper. Is that too dated a reference? Anyway, the threat level is a number from 1 to 10, that realistically only goes up to 6, that details how dangerous a subject is. Now, it's weighted toward the bottom, meaning that a 2 isn't twice as dangerous as a 1. It's more like an exponential curve that increases as you go up. The vast majority of threats will be in the 1 and 2 range. And like I said, despite having a 10 on there, it really stops at 6. Everything beyond that is best thought of as hypothetical. A 1 is nothing too bad. The idea is that a single paladin should be able to handle it. Think noromoles begin eating the foundation beneath your house, destabilizing it. So it could totally destroy your home if untreated, but one paladin who comes out and spreads a little sage and miracle whip could get rid of them in an afternoon. Now a 10, however, a 10 would be a book. innocuous, plain, unremarkable at first glance, sitting forgotten in the dark corners of a nearly abandoned library, fated to disappear to human history until a well-meaning scholar stumbles over it, reads it. But it's not what's written that is so devious, my friends, not the scrawling and madness that decorates its pages that threatens us all, but instead the very act of reading the book. For you see, this is the verba insanorum. The words within matter not, only the act of reading. For with each word read, each thought explored, the world around them is remade, reimagined, and rewritten. A tragedy played out in the minds of all those that behold its work, whose story continues from the mouth of all those that behold the first performance, a play without end that expands and expands, twisting our world bit by bit into one governed not by reason, but by the whims of a mad playwright. That's a 10. Now, here's the thing. Last month, I broke our rule. I gave my first threat level 7 to the Kandarian demon. I did so because I believe that such an entity would be a world-level threat, something that could end humanity's existence, something the Order may not be equipped to stop. Editor's note, I recently finished watching Ash vs. the Evil Dead and got to see the final form of the Kandarian demon, and while I still maintain that canon is not a thing within the Evil Dead franchise, look at this frickin' thing. Yeah, this is definitely like a 7. This is definitely a world threat. They were gonna nuke it. Alright, back to past Kren. I can see many of you out there arguing that same logic for Sebastian. He can't be hurt. He can't be contained. He can do basically anything the plot calls for him to do. But we also had something like this with Crowley. Power limited only by his imagination. In that episode, I compared Crowley to Winnie the Pooh with the nuclear codes. Yes, he has the capacity to be an unstoppable killing force and destroy all life on Earth. But he's much more likely to get his head stuck in Rabbit's hole. Likewise, as unstoppable as Sebastian is, his entire existence is tied to CL Phantom Hive. He does nothing that is not ordered by his master, makes no side plans for mischief or personal gain. His singular goal is to devour CL's soul, and that can only happen once CL has attained his revenge. Nothing I've seen in the series leads me to believe that he has any desire to harm anyone beyond his goal of CL's soul. If someone stands between him and his goal, perhaps by threatening CL, yes, that person will be obliterated with extreme prejudice. But under normal circumstances, Sebastian is more of a monitor and report kind of demon. And yes, he will know that you're monitoring him. The key is to keep CL from finding out, which surprisingly shouldn't be too hard. As intelligent as he is, he's not omniscient, and Sebastian has a tendency to withhold anything from him he doesn't feel is pertinent. Remember, they're not friends. For Sebastian, this is nothing more than a meal prep with CL's soul as the main course, marinating in the juices of vengeance. With that in mind, I must still acknowledge his terrifying potential. He may be a dog on his leash, but should that leash fall, he could be an unstoppable force. He earns his rightful place with a solid threat level 6. Now, let's take a look at his demon class. This is a much more straightforward affair, not so much of an assessment of danger, so much as one of classification. You see, the Order recognizes more than a few creatures that poke their damned eyes out from the abyss to stalk the children of men. Class 1s are mindless creatures that are barely cognizant of what they're doing. Class 2 are much more intelligent, but generally require a host in order to maintain their presence on Earth. And 3 are self-sustaining creatures which can wander this plane without a vessel. With these in mind, Sebastian is an easy Class 3 demon. Paperwork time. This is a stewardship or patronage level threat. Engagement is not recommended. Observe and report only. Prepare any nearby civilians for immediate evacuation. Coordinate with local disaster relief masons for this purpose. The use of white garments and holy relics is recommended, but no guarantee of efficacy is implied. The target appears to be immune to all known forms of standard engagement and containment. Recommend requisition of high artifacts from patronages or Rome. Explore possibility of utilizing sanctified Midianites for deterrence. Holy hell. What even is this show? I've watched some doozies this year, but I've never seen a character so overpowered before. And one of them can yell at plants. Well, I guess anyone could yell at a plant, but Crowley can scare plants with this... You know what, never mind. Point is, Sebastian is OP as hell. But, hey, what a way to end the year, right? Can you believe we're finally here? Sebastian is the last demon for 2024, but what does that mean for 2025? Who knows? We started last year with vampires, and we moved on to demons this year, so what's next? Witches? Werewolves? Ghosts? Hit us up on Twitter, BlueSky, and of course our Discord server, and let us know what you think. Oh, and as always, let me know down in the comments. One more reminder that next month, rather than another demon, it's the end of the year Demon Roundup. We're having the first and last annual Demon Awards Show. Presenters to be brought in from the most demonic channels on Twitch. Or maybe just some Demon VTubers who agreed to do me a solid. By the time this video is up, voting for Demon of the Year, as well as 8 other categories, will be going on, so you can cast your vote on our Discord, Twitter, BlueSky, even at our website, or you can follow the direct link down below. Oh, and before I forget, we finally hit 100 subscribers here on YouTube! Woo! To celebrate, we'll be dropping an extra video on the channel soon, so please keep your eyes out for it. I know you'll love it. We spent a lot of time working on it. But I have to go. Mason Laurie brought her baby in today, and there's about a 60% chance it got swapped with a mandrake without anyone noticing, so I gotta go take care of that before it becomes a whole thing. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled. You never know what's hiding out there.
How do you do it, Quinn?
Well, you see, I'm simply one hell of a mason.
No. I mean, how do you open the vault for the archives? It's not like the one in Artifacts.
Oh, sorry, you gotta jiggle the handle.